Hi, this is Barry S. Hartley, and you are listening to TV Confidential.
Robertson, welcome you to this week's edition of TV Confidential, radio talk show about television that will welcome back Stephanie Powers. In our second hour, Stephanie Powers, the actress known around the world as Jennifer Hart, on Heart to Heart. Stephanie will reunite with Patrick Wayne, her leading man in McClintock, for the first time in 60 years in a one-performance-only stage production of A.R. Gurney's Love Letters this coming Sunday, January 11th at the historic El Portal Theater in North Hollywood, California. It's a benefit performance, proceeds of which will support the efforts of the William Holden Wildlife Foundation. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more when Stephanie Powers joins us in our second hour. Be able to stay tuned for that coming up later on. This hour, we'll play part two of a conversation that began last week with Mark Shaw. Mark Shaw, former legal analyst for CNN, ESPN, and USA Today, and the author of nearly 30 books, the latest of which, Abuse of Power, links the assassinations of JFK and RFK with the mysterious death of Dorothy Kilgallen in November 1965. Part two of our conversation with Mark Shaw later on in this hour. In the meantime, Tony Figueroa and Donna Allen are with us as we continue our look at milestone premieres this fall as part of This Week in TV History. Tony's segment, as always, is brought to us by our friends at Story Salon, Southern California's longest-running, regularly performing live storytelling ensemble. For more information, go to storysalon.com or facebook.com/Story Salon. This particular edition of This Week in TV History originally aired in December 2015. What do you have for us tonight?
September 19th, 1970, The Mary Tyler Moore Show premiered.
Love is all around.
Don't need to waste it. Well, first she might just make it after all, and then she's gonna make it after all.
That's right. They re-recorded the lyrics after the first season.
Was that not positive enough?
I think that was by design. Mm-hmm. Jennifer Armstrong interviewed Sonny Curtis in her excellent oral history of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. As I recall, and this is a great example of a songwriter working with the producer to get the concept of the show in order to capture it in the theme song. And after the first season, he not only re-recorded it, but I think that he released it as a single, and that's when he changed the lyrics that "You're Gonna Make It After All," and that's the version that really has become iconic. Yes.
And I remember hearing that on the radio.
Yeah,
and yeah, it did. It did have a nice...
Who can turn the world on with her smile?
Mm-hmm. I hate Spunk.
I hate Spunk, which one of the best Ed Asner. Can you imagine? You play this character in two shows. You're playing, where he's drama in one, comedy in the other, a very beloved curmudgeon-y character. His best line is his first line.
And it took him a while to get it to deliver it so that it was funny, because he was, Ed, and I know we've talked about this before, even though Ed Asner had done comedy on stage before, at that point he was mostly known as a dramatic actor, and he came across a little too angry in his first delivery, and it did not test well among studio audiences, and so he had to take it down a few notches.
Yeah,
but such a wonderful contrast to Mary Tyler Moore, though, who, Miss Positivity.
Yeah, that's... you look at people who can do anger. Jackie Gleason, which would be, he was the reactor. Archie Bunker, or, Carol O'Connor as Archie Bunker. Yeah, but, there's a way to do it for television comedy.
Yeah, and he wasn't trying to be angry. Yeah. It just came across angry.
Yeah. And, well, that was one of the big casting things with The Skipper, because, how do you have somebody who could be mad at Gilligan and still maintain a teddy bear quality? Because it's like, people are reading the scripts that, I would kill this guy. How do you find somebody who could have that, that point and not wind up killing him? And you believe it. And, Alan Hale was able to pull it off. Remember, Carol O'Connor read for that role.
Yes.
And it would have been fun to see Ed Asner in that role, too. Now, of course, Gilligan would be dead by the first commercial.
Yes. No, Ed Asner as an actor, he's a force of nature.
He is.
I mean, he has always been one of my favorite actors. I mean, I discovered him with so many people, baby boomers, during Mary Tyler Moore. But to see him do Lou Grant in not one but two series, others, I think he is the best Santa Claus on screen. He's my favorite.
On Elf.
In Elf, I thought he was wonderful. Santa Claus is a curmudgeon. I love it.
And he was the voice of the character in Up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ed Asner, action hero.
But he's also like, those actors, Adam West and William Shatner, that they now are making a career out of being who they are.
Yeah.
Jay Leno had a whole bit for a while. Would this impress Ed Asner? And you
Yes.
could just see him. You could see somebody juggling flaming chainsaws, and he's watching it, and he's not impressed. Or he looks unimpressed, and then he says something very positive. He looks like he's going to say, "What are you doing with your life?" And he will say something so positive, or said, "You are a very talented person, and I think that you have an incredible future in whatever you decide to do." But the expression on his face still says, "What the is wrong with you?" So he is wonderful with that. I think Betty White also falls into that category as well.
Can I share a personal Ed Asner story?
Sure.
Several years ago, I was at a radio event, and Ed Asner was there. And I don't approach people. That's just not part of me. But I'm standing 10 feet away from Ed Asner, and I am staring at him. I admire this man. And, of course, he's looking just like Ed Asner, the very stern expression on his face. And he caught me. And I didn't feel that I couldn't say anything. And I just said, "Mr. Asner, I've always wanted to meet you." And he said, "What's your name?" And I said, "My name is Donna." And he melted. And he extended his hand. "Well, Donna, it's very nice to meet you." And I just about melted, too. Wonderful man. I love him even more today as a performer and as a person.
I understand. I mean, I have a couple of friends, and that was their experience as well. I mean, particularly with the wife. I mean, maybe he just has a thing about female fans, But with the husband, he kind of you have to work. The husband has to work through the kind of curmudgeon-y facade, but the female, I mean, they have a meeting out of their hands.
Well, Mary Richards got to Lou Grant.
Well, that's true.
Easily.
That's true. And going back to the origins of the show, I mean, and actually it goes back to the lyric line, "You might just make it after all." I mean, as I understand it, again, Jennifer covers this in her book, CBS was not completely committed to the show. It took Ethel Wynant who was one of the first female executives, and she was one of the great casting executives at CBS. She took a personal interest in making sure that show got on the air because she recognized it was significant.
We're also talking about a show that the idea of a single woman lead character in her 30s.
Right. A single working woman.
Yeah, that was still pretty, that was pushing the envelope a little bit. And she wasn't widowed.
But they did not go with the original idea that she was a divorcee. That was still taboo.
Yeah, well, because they being CBS was afraid that audiences would think she was Laura Petrie and that she divorced
Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
So little faith in audiences.
Well, that was not unusual for network executive thinking in the 1970s.
Well,
2015, could you say the same thing? To an extent.
To an extent, yes. To an extent, yes.
Well, I part of it goes to, I think, the character stereotyping. That people see this person as this, so they do want to go off of that imaging. After Russell Johnson played the professor, then he was there was always somebody always saw him as the professor, whatever else he did afterwards. So I think that was just part of the process here. Do you want to see someone who played Laura Petrie in this role, And or you're going to have your publicity people saying, "Well, she's totally different than what she did before." Well, which is not something necessarily that the marketing people.
Well, it kind of goes back to the
with,
conversation we had about canceling show after 1 or 2 weeks. I mean, today, not enough, network executives have faith in the audience's ability to stay with the show. Because they're just looking at the numbers, and if the numbers don't meet their expectations right away, they move on rather than giving a show a chance to find its audience or the audience a chance to find the show.
How many lead characters were on television in 1970 that were divorced, male or female?
Very few.
Lead characters.
I can't think of any.
Secondary characters, reoccurring characters, one-shot characters. I think maybe the one-shot characters.
Divorce was still a taboo subject in television at the time.
Maybe the wacky neighbor was divorced. Yeah. Maybe.
But
I think the divorce characters were that one particular episode. They were basically they came in, they were in the episode, you never saw them again.
Okay, piggybacking on Mary Tyler Moore. A lot of good supporting characters, including her best friend Rhoda Morgenstern, Valerie Harper, who would spin off into her own show and would get divorced in the course of her show much later. Attitudes started to change.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about jumping the shark. It was considered Rhoda's wedding was considering, in hindsight, people considered that a really bad idea. To do that with the character. The character just returns to New York. She meets a guy, and by November Sweet, she was married.
Within a year of when the show premiered.
Yeah,
it was a decision that they made probably too soon.
Yeah, they did not let the characters. They were married. She married a guy who was divorced with a kid, not widowed, divorced with a kid. So you did have the ex-wife.
There was a cultural shift within a few years of the premiere of the Mary Tyler Moore show.
And I was enjoying seeing a second single woman on television. I was young, but here was a young career woman in New York City. Kind of brought back memories of that girl for me.
I think that's not coincidental. I think in a lot of respects, what they the concept of the Mary Tyler Moore show was to take that girl to the next level.
Yeah.
You basically have Anne Marie without Don. And one of the most famous, I guess the second most famous line in the pilot, the first being "I hate spunk," was when Mary meets up with her ex, and her ex, I think, asks to take her back. And I don't remember whether Mary says this to her ex or whether she says this to Rhoda. But Mary is asked, "Are you okay?" And she says, "Yeah, I think I'm going to be okay." Meaning, I don't need to have a person in my life right now. I'm going to figure out how to do this. And that's very realistic because a lot of people can identify with that.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
One more item. If you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Ed Robertson thanking you for listening to the TV Confidential podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button so that you won't miss
our next episode.
Hi, this is Ed Asner, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
We're taking a look at the legacy of the Mary Tyler Moore Show along with Tony Figueroa and Donna Allen. This particular edition of This Week in TV History originally aired in December 2015. Tony, we talked before about Lou Grant. The Mary Tyler Moore Show is also known for a couple other spinoffs.
You had Rhoda, got her own show. Phyllis. Remember, they all lived in the same house.
I love the Phyllis had a great theme song.
Yes.
That was a concept that.
Well, of course, you're going to love San Francisco.
Well, it's not. Well, yeah, but it's and again now that's and again everything was that was sort of the age of spinoffs because that was a spinoff of but Phyllis was. If they were to do it again, I mean, forget the fact that it was Cloris Leachman, and she's a great actress. But Phyllis is Phyllis is a good secondary character. She's not a lead.
Yes. Was she widowed? What happened to Lars?
She was widowed.
Lars, yes. She
Lars
was
died.
okay. Yes, Lars did not die. We never saw Lars.
We never saw Lars.
But by the time she got her own show, it was established that Lars had died.
Okay. That's what I was remembering.
And that was the premise for moving her to San Francisco.
Yeah. And Mary when Phyllis moved to Mary had moved to her new apartment.
Right.
And which was another big.
But she still had the iconic M.
She had
Of course
that was the
she
first
did.
thing she put up.
Yeah.
When she moved in and it was empty, she had the M and a pencil to mark where it was going to go, and she put that up and looked around and said, "Oh, I hate this place." And she knew that but Mary was in a position where she just needed a change, and she decided to move.
Well, no, and the character had grown beyond, a first apartment.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of funny that Mary Tyler Moore as Mary Richards looked much younger than she did on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
It's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
She, a married woman with a child, and then Mary Richards, a newly single woman, single as in and a broken engagement, going out into the world, and she really looked young. But we saw her mature. We didn't see her get old, but we saw the character evolve.
Yeah, the first year she looked a lot younger.
Yeah,
I
she
can see
did
that.
go from Anne Marie
And that's
to,
right. She wore the wig. That was not her real hair the first
Yes.
season. She wore a wig.
Yeah.
But we saw the character progress, and then, of course, she would outgrow that working girl's apartment.
Yeah.
Was it an apartment, or did she buy a condo?
I think I think it was an apartment.
Yeah, I think it was an apartment.
But in a high-rise building with a view.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she did move on up, but remember her first place was really Phyllis's house. That was a large house that was subdivided, and so Rhoda's apartment.
And that Rhoda wanted.
Was the
Yeah, Rhoda wanted, but then it was kind of split, and Phyllis was also the landlady, or Lars, was so that you had that character. Yeah, when you also had so many great secondary characters in the spin-offs. I mean, you had Nancy Walker, who was always given guest starring credit, but she was pretty much
She
a
was
regular.
Rhoda's mom.
Mm-hmm.
You had Julie Kavner, so Nancy Walker played Rhoda's mom on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, but
And
there was
also Rhoda.
And also Rhoda. There was a different sister that was introduced on the Mary Tyler Moore Show that was not Brenda, so that was kind of reconstructed when she moved in with Brenda. But you had those two strong characters, Harold Gould as her father.
Rhoda's dad, yeah.
David Groh as Joe, and Lorenzo Music as the voice of Carlton the Doorman.
This is Carlton, your doorman.
Which was an accident. The guy that they hired did not show up. And Lorenzo Music, who was producing, who wrote for the Smothers Brothers, he filled in, and that voice over the intercom was a show-stopping moment, and they realized, okay, we got to keep that. And then to try to come up with ways that you would never see this guy. I mean, one time you saw his hand come through the door, to get a tip. Other times they were in a taxi. You saw him from the back. They were at a costume party. He was wearing a gorilla mask. So they would always come up with ways that you never saw the guy's face. But it was one of those great characters, and it's like, oh, not a lot of laughs in this scene. Well, let's incorporate Carlton for a second. And it worked.
It's interesting. Mary Tyler Moore lived on in syndication. Rhoda never syndicated very well.
No,
it didn't. I think Comedy Central would run The Wedding every so often.
Yeah, and I know that MeTV ran it one summer a couple of years ago, but it
If they would have kept her single
Yeah.
longer,
Yeah.
I think that it may have had a better life in syndication.
And-
seriously.
She was constantly moving. I mean, she was living with Brenda. Then she moves in with Joe. Then they get a really cool apartment in Brenda's building. I remember 9E. That was, like a really nice central set for the character to be seen in. Then they divorce. She moves into a smaller apartment in the same building.
You had like 3 or 4 different formats within a 5-year run. So that's
And then later on, she was working for a costume company because she was dressing windows in Minneapolis. She had similar jobs. She was working for a company that rented costumes. And so a lot of focus shifted over more to her work. And she was with Scoey Mitchell, and I forgot some of the other characters that were always great secondary characters. But I think that lack of consistency.
That was sort of a staple of MTM shows.
Yeah.
I mean, they had good. They always had good actors, and even if you only saw them like 3 or 4 or 5 times a year, they were memorable characters.
Tony Figueroa and Donna Allen are with us as we remember the premiere of the Mary Tyler Moore Show in September 1970, as well as the various spin-offs of Mary Tyler Moore, such as Lou, Grant, and Rhoda. This particular segment originally aired in December 2015. Take a quick time out. We'll talk some more with Tony and Donna when we come back here on TV Confidential.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. That's 800-432-8150.